Index for Hong Kong dropped from 82.3 points to 75 points, due mainly to a deterioration in the perceived level of graft. In response, a government spokesman stressed that perceptions about corruption here in recent years might have been affected by some prominent cases. But the spokesman insisted that these are isolated incidents and that the levels of corruption in Hong Kong remain very low. The ICAC echoed those views, saying the score is based on the perceptions of survey respondents rather than the actual situation. Lawmaker Jeffrey Lam believes recent cases have affected people's perceptions, but that Hong Kong is still a clean city.
Those are individual cases, but it caused concern to the foundation. And I think the overall general situation in Hong Kong in terms of corruption is still rated highest in the world. Not corruption, but rather cleanliness.
Meanwhile, China ranked 139th with a score of 52.7 points. The foundation noted that President Xi Jinping's anti-graft campaign has cracked down on several high-ranking officials, but that corruption remains widespread. Ronnie Samtani, TVB News.
In addition to still owing staff their December salaries, ATV also hasn't paid its license fee. The government says it may revoke the broadcaster's license if it fails to do so. Acting Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development Godfrey Leung said authorities are very concerned about the case. He noted that it is the second time in 3 years that ATV has failed to pay its license fee on time and that it was already fined $200,000. The cash-strapped broadcaster is required to pay the outstanding amount in 2 installments before March. As for the unpaid wages, a hearing will be held at the Labour Tribunal on Monday. The Estate Agents Authority received almost 400 complaints about sales malpractices in the property market last year. And as Liz Yoon reports, a number of complaints relating to the sale of new flats is on the rise.
Last year, the statutory body that regulates real estate agencies received 56 complaints about the sale of first-hand residential properties. That's up 27% from 2013. Among the cases last year, an agent was found to have breached the EAA's guidelines by offering loans to his clients while promoting new properties. The agent was slapped with a $5,000 fine while his agency was fined $60,000. According to the Estate Agents Ordinance, any agent involved in such cases could be fined up to $300,000. The agent's license could also be revoked. When asked if the authority would step up relevant sanctions, its chairman said it has to consult the trade first.
We do not intend to intervene too much, but we will try to understand. And if necessary, we will work with them to adjust the magnitude of the penalty.
Some agents have also been accused of exaggerating market demand. They were said to have submitted their own registration of intent to join the balloting for first-hand residential properties. The authority is considering whether to require them to make a declaration if they wish to purchase the properties they're promoting. Such a scheme could be in place in the first half of this year.
We are now considering the technicalities, but we have consulted the trade in general, and they were quite supportive of the idea.
To raise the entry standard of the profession, the authority is also looking into raising the level of difficulty for its qualifying examinations. Liz Yun, TVB News.
More overseas news now, and parts of the United States Northeast are digging out after a massive winter storm took aim at several states. But while hurricane-force winds dumped knee-high snowfall on millions of residents, for others, the storm was a letdown. James Aiken reports.
As winter storms go,
oh, crazy, really crazy out here.
This one was hit or miss.
Oh my God, I've seen so many people getting stuck out here today.
Record snowfall fell in some regions, while other areas like New York City got off easy. Long Island didn't.
This snow was crazy. We're okay because we thought we were going to wake up with no power, maybe, possibly. So, you know, this is better than what we expected.
Much the same story in Boston, where snow removal crews are working around the clock. But that doesn't mean all work and no play. For others, the commute to work is a little more enjoyable.
I mean, this is like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, so I'm just glad the cops haven't told us we can't do it yet.
And who says people get to have all the fun? These red pandas are taking advantage of their day off at the zoo. No need for extra winter wear. Their coats are all season. For others, the sudden storm offers a zen-like experience.
I love it. It's beautiful. It's amazing. It's peaceful. It's calming. It's tranquil.
Not much tranquility in New York City, though. Officials who warned of snowmageddon are now defending their all-out emergency storm precautions.
I've seen worse dustings than this, so it's New York for you.
Would you rather be prepared or unprepared? Would you rather be safe or unsafe? To me, it was no-brainer.
The storm is easing, but the problems are far from over. South of Boston, they wish they had snow. Storm-driven coastal flooding has hit low-lying towns hard. Some evacuations have been ordered, and many homes will need to be torn down.
There's days of work to do before things return to normal.
Meanwhile, travel bans are being lifted, but no one's planning a parade just yet. Most parade routes are full of snow, too.
Thanks, guys.
James Aiken, TVB News.
The parents of 43 Mexican college students missing since last year have angrily rejected an official statement on the fate of their children. Yesterday, Mexico's Attorney General said the students were definitely murdered on the orders of a drug cartel and their bodies incinerated. Investigators cited confessions and forensic evidence showing a fire blazed for hours at a temperature enough to turn the bodies into ashes. The parents accuse the government of trying to wrap up the case without answering many questions about the investigation. All right, Tony, over to you for sports.
That's right, and we got a story about one man's bid to run 7 marathons across the world in a week. But before we get to that, we'll go to some football. And tempers flared between Chelsea and Liverpool last night in the second leg of the League Cup semi-finals. Chelsea forward Diego Costa was accused of stamping on several opponents during his side's narrow win over the Reds.
Chelsea against Liverpool is always a lively encounter, and so it proved in the second leg of their League Cup semi-final. The Blues had the edge, having scored an away goal at Anfield, but Liverpool were determined to win. The deadlock was broken in the 4th minute of extra time, when Branislav Ivanovic's header sealed a 2-1 aggregate win to send Chelsea to the League Cup final for the first time in 7 years. Things turned a little nasty towards the end when star striker Diego Costa was involved in another tussle with a Liverpool player, this time Reds captain Steven Gerrard. He was accused of stamping on Martin Skrtel and Emre Can earlier, and Liverpool boss Brendan Rodgers was not amused.
It was poor really by him because he's an outstanding player, top player, and doesn't need to do it.
Big semi-final. 2 big games, but speaking about this one, a big game, really big. Both teams in the limits, and the result in the edge, and the result speaks by itself. 1-1 there, 0-0 here, extra time, 1 goal to decide.
In Italy, Napoli survived a fight back from Genoa to win at home. 2 goals from Gonzalo Higuain, 1 from open play and 1 from the spot sealed a 2-1 win. They are now 3rd in Serie A, just ahead of Lazio and Sampdoria.
Defending champion Stan Wawrinka got past Kei Nishikori to reach the Australian Open semi-finals. He served up a straight sets win over last year's US Open finalist. The set scores were 6-3, 6-4 and 7-6. In the women's draw, Serena Williams also advanced to the last 4. She was dominant against Dominika Cibulkova of Slovakia, winning 6-2 and 6-2. But her sister Venus lost to American teenager Madison Keys. Well, one of Hong Kong's top amateur triathletes is celebrating after winning the World Marathon Challenge this month.